Tonight from Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida, the Red Sox not only can win their 10th in a row, they can clinch a postseason spot tonight with a victory and a loss by Baltimore. Game 2 against Tampa Bay. The Red Sox 5.5 over the Blue Jays right now, who are playing the Yankees as we speak. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Trop. Great to have you. I'm Dave O'Brien. My partner, of course, is Jerry Remy. Garen Austin along in just a couple of moments. Jerry, the bullpen was a big star last night with 4 shutout innings. The Red Sox bullpen in the month of September with an ERA under 1.
Yeah, it's amazing how the roles in bullpen have changed over the years in baseball, and it's so important now to have a deep bullpen. And the Red Sox really proved that in the ball game last night. And different types of pitches, too, different styles altogether. First, you had Matt Barnes come into the ball game with a blazing fastball, throwing about 98 miles an hour. Gets a fly ball out right there to Xander Bogaerts. Robbie Scott, how about this story? I mean, dropping down on the side as a left-hander, getting a ground ball out against Kiermaier to get the Red Sox out of inning, and then Ziegler, submarine style from the right side, gets a swing and miss to finish the ball game. So it has really been an outstanding collection of work from the bullpen. As you can see, in the month of September, this month, the ERA of 0.77, opponents only hitting 183. And what I really like, Dave, is the number of strikeouts. 72 strikeouts in 58 and a third innings. The less contact made at the end of the game, obviously, the better. And the Red Sox have certainly been doing that.
And the good news tonight is both Koji and Kimbrel are available, unlike last night. But Rick Porcello is on the mound, so we'll see if it matters. He tossed a complete game, 89 pitches in his last outing against the Orioles. He goes for his 22nd win. Sox and Rays coming up in just a moment. Go to his website for deals. Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Sullivan Tire and Complete Auto Service. Bob's Discount Furniture. Everybody saves at Bob's Discount Furniture, in-store at mybobs.com. Subaru Retailers of New England. And by Southwest Airlines. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That is transparency. Hot, humid one outside, but indoors, cool and comfortable. Red Sox taking on the Rays here at the Trop. Let's give you a closer look at the season that Rick Porcello has had. Coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. His ranks inside the American League, #1, in fact, in all of baseball in victories. He is 3rd presently in ERA, still with a chance to win the ERA title in the American League, and leading the majors in wins and strikeout to walk ratio. And Garen Austin just having a spectacular year, and everybody talks about his work ethic, huh?
Well, Obi, the one thing that everybody talks about with Rick Porcello is his work ethic and the amount of time that he spends on preparation. Coming off one of the best outings of the season for him, he prepares for win number 22. Here's pitching coach Carl Willis with more on his outstanding season.
Well, it's unbelievable, and you know, seemingly each time out he does something to take it to the next level. And you know, I don't know that I've ever had a starter in my years as a major league pitching coach. You know, he'd gone through 3 innings, he'd thrown 22 pitches. I thought for a second, you know, he's going to go 9 and he may not throw 80 pitches, and he ended up with 89. But just, you know, just so efficient and such command with all of his pitches, keeping the hitters off balance. And you know, it's why he's able to do what he's done to this point this season, and it's just an awful lot of fun to watch.
Red Sox as of late just about automatic when he is on the mound. And David Ortiz in the batter's box again tonight, coming in with 37 home runs. He is tied with the number he hit last year, taking on Matt Andriese here in game number 2. Airlines, yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, Garrett Austin back with you. Baseball Inside at the Trop. A lot of Red Sox fans in attendance. There certainly were last night. It got loud when David Ortiz cranked home run number 37. As they said, traveled 411 feet. Hard for us to believe that, having seen a lot of home runs in the past. Jerry, what do you think? At least 450, 480, maybe 500 feet, said Mookie Betts.
Well, I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of long ones and a lot in this ballpark, but never anything close to that. So I have no idea how far that thing would have gone had it not hit the catwalk.
An absolute shot. Red Sox lineup tonight is brought to you by buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Up against Matt Andriese, it'll be Dustin Pedroia to lead it off, and then Xander Bogaerts and Big Papi. Mookie Betts in right field with 31 homers. Hanley Ramirez has 29. Brock Holt in third. Chris Young in left field with Jackie Bradley, the center fielder. Jackie with 26, and Sandy Leon does the catching. And the number 9 hitter against the Rays starter. Brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. That is Andriese. He is 8-7, ERA of 4.41 in a very up and down season.
The Rays defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They are 13th in the league with 91 errors on the season. Evan Longoria will be at third base. Alexi Ramirez, the shortstop. Logan Forsythe at second. Brad Miller, the first baseman. Left to right, Corey Dickerson, Kevin Kiermaier, and Mikey Matsuk. Kurt Casale doing the catching for Andriese.
And tonight's umpires brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. Carlos Torres has the plate. Sam Holbrook at first, Paul Emmel at second, and Scott Barry at third. We're available. This telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory back. Toyota Certified. Used vehicle right now.
Buenas noches, amigos.
Red Sox coming in, riding a 9-game winning streak. After tonight, just 7 games remaining. And we'll be keeping an eye on that Toronto score as well. Red Sox are trying to go to 6.5 over the Blue Jays. And Toronto loses and the Sox win their 10th in a row. That would be 6.5 with 7 games to play. Sox win tonight and an Orioles loss, and the Red Sox will clinch a postseason spot by the end of play tonight. Dustin Pedroia set to lead things off, hitting .317 with 13 homers. Then Xander Bogaerts and then David Ortiz. Pedroia trying to snap an 0 for 15 skid as he takes on the 27-year-old from California. Matt Andriese with his first offering. Up top, and we're underway.
Andriese has won his last 2 starts, one against New York and last time out against Baltimore. But in those games, the longest he did go was 5 1/3 innings.
Here's 1-0 pitch. That's a strike. He's a ground ball guy for the most part. 2-seam fastball, a cutter, a curve, and a changeup. As mentioned, his season has been something of a roller coaster. Started out the season by going 6-0.
Yeah, and also he was in the bullpen for a long time. He got back into the rotation when they traded Matt Moore to the San Francisco Giants.
And then he lost 7 in a row before winning the last couple. 1-2 coming. Swung on and missed. Down he goes. So Pedroia strikes out to start the night.
Tough to tell whether that was the cut fastball. It looked like it had a little bit bigger break on it. Maybe the slider from Andriese. As that ball goes down and away from Pedroia. So Dustin continues to struggle a little bit in that leadoff spot right now. 0 for his last 16, but that will change.
Bogaerts now 295s, and with 20 homers, he's driven in 88 runs. In fact, has homered in each of the Sox last 3 series against Tampa Bay. And the first one is taken for ball 1. Ortiz on deck. It was Ortiz home run that won the ball game in the very first inning last night. As it turns out, all the runs the Red Sox needed on his 2-run shot against Archer, who lost for the 19th time. Cross for a strike.
Well, we talked about it last night. The defense they play on Bogaerts, and they give him the left center field area. They did the same thing last night, same thing tonight. If he hits one in that gap, you're probably talking about 3 bases.
The 1-1. Fly ball well hit. Kiermaier back though, and he's there to make the catch. 2 up, 2 down. And here comes Ortiz for the first time tonight. David now has the record for both home runs and RBIs in a final season after last night's home run. Base is empty for him with 2 down. There's a shot thrown out to right field. Backing up a bit, Montook, and he'll make the play not far from the wall. Andriese gets him 1-2-3 in the first. brought to you by New England Chevy dealers. It'll be Logan Forsythe, Kevin Kiermaier, Evan Longoria, followed by Brad Miller. He's the cleanup man. Dickerson in left, Franklin the designated hitter. Montook in right field, Ramirez at short, and Kirk Casale is the catcher, batting ninth. And facing Porcello, who is 21-4. Red Sox starter presented by New England Audi dealers. Major League's winningest pitcher, making his 32nd start. And coming off his finest hour, that 89 pitch gem to toss a complete game at Baltimore.
Porcello this year 5 times has faced Tampa Bay. He's got a record of 4-0 against the Rays.
Cut on and missed by Forsythe, hitting .275, 19 homers. He went 0 for 3 last night. Yeah, the Sox 2-1 win, which came down to the bullpen. Knocked foul back out of play, and a bullpen that has really excelled.
It was special last night. They needed it. Pomeranz had to come out of there after 5 innings, and they were spectacular out of the bullpen last night. Very close-knit group.
Looks like Pomeranz will get another start. 1-2 coming. And just a little bit high.
That's what Porcello likes to do when he gets a couple of strikes on hitters, especially right-handers, likes to go up in that strike zone against. That time a little bit too high.
Red Sox have gone 23-8 when he starts, winning 15 of the last 18 times he started, and that is right through there for strike 3. Got him looking.
That's the fastball we were talking about. Elevate, top of the strike zone this time, and taking by Forsythe for the strikeout. The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They have moved up to 4th in the league with 74 errors on the season. Brock Holt at third base, Xander Bogaerts the shortstop, Dustin Pedroia at second, and Hanley Ramirez the first baseman. Left to right, Chris Young, Jackie Bradley Jr., Mookie Betts, and Sandy Leon doing the catching for Porcello.
Here's Kiermaier trying to bunt, but he bunts it foul. He is a good bunter. Getting .246, 12 home runs. According to Fangraphs, Kiermaier with 23 defensive runs saved. As a center fielder that's first in the majors. But he pops this one up. Bogaerts on a charge to center and trying to make the play. Able to make that play. An outstanding effort by Xander Bogaerts. Once again, second time in as many games he's done this.
Yeah, it looked like he calls off Jackie Bradley maybe a little bit too soon because it became a much more difficult play than Bogaerts expected. Bradley would have had it. But you see Xander right here call him off. I've got it. And it actually turns out to be a pretty good catch.
Last night he knocked his cap off when he went out and did that. Not tonight. Here's Longoria, 278 with 36 homers. He's driven in 95 in a good year. Although not many have taken notice because of the record, 65 and 88. Fans, be sure to stop by Plainridge Park Casino. Plainridge Park Casino is the official sponsor of winning. Two down in the 2-0. Longoria in the top 10 in the American League with 36 home runs. He ranks 9th.
Instead of a fastball on the 2-0 count, Porcello goes to the slider right there to pick up the swing and miss.
He pounds that in there for a strike. And that last start against Baltimore was a work of art. Hitting all the corners of the plate. This time inside, and he jumps back out of the way.
And tried that cut fastball. Had it tried to start it inside, come back to the inside corner, but there was very little movement on it.
The 3-2 to Longoria. And he got him. 2 strikeouts in the first inning for Rick Porcello. Winning streak in September since 1986. Last time the Sox had a longer one in September was in 1949. They won 11 in a row. Twisted tea, the hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea. Be a little twisted. Mookie Betts leading things off here in the second inning. No score at the Trop. Mookie hitting .321 after racking up 3 hits last night. So Betts with a 10-game hitting streak. Over that, he's hitting almost .500. So no slowing down for Mookie.
Good numbers against Andres too. 5 for 11 with a home run. But down 0-2 here.
It's a bullet over the shortstop by the alley. Kiermaier to cut it off, and Betts will be held to a base hit. But a shot to make it an 11-game hitting streak. Man, is he locked in?
Yeah, did that get a piece of Ramirez's glove? It looked like it might have ticked it. See the line shot, and it looked like it slowed up a little bit. That gave Kiermaier, with his great speed, a chance to get over there, and he flips it to the second base like a second baseman would to a first baseman. Knowing the speed of Mookie Betts, trying to hold him to the single.
Mookie, part of the nightly celebration dances, which have gotten more and more elaborate and creative these days. And Guerin will have more on that in a little bit. Here's Hanley now, 292, 29 homers, 109 runs batted in. And Andrews from the set. A strike on Hanley.
A lot of cut fastballs here early from Andres.
Andrews pitched at UC Riverside in college for 3 years. He was teammates with Joe Kelly. Also pitched in the Cape Cod League in 2010 for Katuitt. He goes back with Joe. Brock Holt on deck. No score here in the second, as the Red Sox been for 10 in a row. Betts on at first. There's another bullet, but foul. He really hopped on that one, but he jerked it foul. This Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Hanley Ramirez with 29 homers, 109 RBIs. With one more homer, he would join David Ortiz and Mookie Betts for the first trio in Red Sox history to record 30 or more homers and 100 or more RBIs in the same season. Oh, 0-2 on Hanley.
See a lot of throws to first base because Andres not very quick to home plate. Takes him a long time to get the ball home, which is very good for base stealers.
Home run has been a problem for Andres, by the way. He's allowed 13 since the All-Star break, among the league leaders. 2-strike pitch. And cut on and missed. He got him. So down goes Hanley. Strikeout number 2 for Andres.
Like a changeup that time for Andres to pick up the strikeout. Started actually down below the knees and finished in the dirt.
Like a lot of the pitchers we have seen over the last 10 or 12 years, and this includes David Price, who came out of the Tampa Bay system. Andres is a very deliberate worker, very slow worker. We saw it with Archer. We've seen it with Price as well.
You're exactly right. They've got a lot of guys that just take their time. Good combination here for a possible steal or a hit and run with Holtz at the plate.
Brock 260 with 7 homers. At third base tonight. Red Sox magic number to clinch the American League East title is at 4. Tomorrow 1:10, the finale of this series, last meeting of the year between these two clubs. It'll be Eduardo Rodriguez against Jake Odorizzi. The Red Sox head for New York. Jerry, we're going to have an off day in New York on Monday. What are you going to do?
I'm going to sit in my room. I'm going to go out to dinner with our Ness and crew. And then I'm going to watch the debates.
Get it all lined up.
Yeah, all planned.
The 1-0. Shot to left center field toward the gap. On to Kiermaier. Can't get it. Takes a bounce up into the wall. Here comes Mookie Betts rounding third. Long throw home. He is in there. And the Red Sox take the lead 1-0. Betts coming churning home.
Well, the Red Sox actually catch a break by having this ball stay in the ballpark. I thought it was going to bounce over the fence. And watch this throw by Kiermaier all the way from the warning track in the air, but Betts able to score ahead of the throw. That ball bounces out. It's a second and third situation, but when it's staying in the ballpark, Red Sox pick up a run. How about that throw, though, by Kiermaier?
It's amazing.
Wow.
The reigning Gold Glover may win it again. Got a lot of competition, including Jackie Bradley. 16 doubles for Brock Holt. And the Sox take a 1-0 lead as Chris Young gets in. I think Mookie was very impressed by that throw.
Yeah, that should not have been that close. I mean, it takes a Gold Glove outfielder to make it that close.
And there was a little something extra there. Remember when the Red Sox were here the last time, Mookie Betts made that incredible throw from right field to cut a base runner down at third base. That was Kiermaier.
You're right. Exactly right.
He remembers it well. Looking for a little get back there. The Mookie came in to score. 1-0 Sox. And in for a strike on Young.
Well, last time we were down here in Tampa, you can see the throw from Mookie Betts and Kiermaier with great speed, but what a throw. Right on the money. So Kiermaier tries to return the favor tonight, but does not get Betts at home plate.
Little competition. Young hitting .283 with 9 home runs, lays off the outside pitch. Remember Kiermaier saying later that night, as soon as it happened, I went inside the video room just to see how he did that, because I couldn't believe he did it.
It's amazing how composed he was on that throw, and I honestly believe to this day he didn't expect Kiermaier to go, and then once he saw him go, he was in great position to make the throw.
A laser beam. Swing and a miss by Young. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Chris. Brock Holt taking second base. Jackie Bradley on deck. Young has been swinging a hot bat against lefties and righties lately. Andrees with a 2-2. Grounded toward third, scooped up by Longoria. Back to second goes Brock Holt, and they're 2 down. Tomorrow at 5:30, don't miss the Ultimate Red Sox Show presented by AAA. We'll look back at the Sox current 9-game winning streak tomorrow at 5:30 only on NESN.
Had there been nobody out in that situation, I think Brock Holt would have gone to third base, because Longoria had to commit himself to the ground ball way off the third base back. But with 2 outs, making that the second out, Holt's already in scoring position, so there's no reason to take a chance. So good defensive play by Longoria, good base running play by Holt.
Jackie Bradley is hitting .273, 26 home runs, 87 driven in. First at bat tonight, and he takes ball 1. Meanwhile, Toronto, on a Joey Bats 3-run homer, has just taken a 3-0 lead in the 8th inning. In a game that had been dominated by excellent pitching, Toronto and the Yankees. Fly into left field, and Dickerson right there. And he will put it away. But the Red Sox are on the board, 1-0. New England, you can still watch NESN's 2 David Ortiz documentaries on DirecTV, Dish, Uverse, Bright House, Frontier, Time Warner, and Fios. Presented by Foxwoods Resort Casino. Check NESN.com National for channel listings and NESN National availability. Underway here in the bottom of the second. Red Sox in the lead 1-0 behind Rick Porcello tonight. Trying to go to 22-4 and enhance his Cy Young. High pop up on the infield. And Brock Holt there. Porcello is set down the first 4 men to face him tonight.
Yeah, glad to get Miller. Miller in his career has 3 home runs against Porcello. That time to pop up to third base.
Dickerson will be next. Red Sox have been in sole possession of first place in the American League East since the end of play on September 7th. Up by 5.5 going into play tonight. Sox will not play on Monday, but Toronto and the Yankees will play to make up that half-game difference. Dickerson, 244, good power. He's hit 23 home runs. He's been one of their hotter bats as he tears into that one and drops down a shot. Nice play by Betts to the warning track to save an extra base hit and hold him to a single.
And he sees Porcello very well. 313 average coming into the game, and he jumps on the first fastball from Rick. Mookie Betts with his speed able to cut this ball off and hold it to a single. See where Betts is playing and how far he has to go to get to this, but he gets it on the 1 big bounce, spins quickly, and just 1 base for Dickerson.
Brings up Nick Franklin, the lefty hitter, their designated hitter tonight, 277 with half a dozen home runs. He had some big games against the Red Sox this year. For some reason, he's kind of been picking on the Sox. Been injured lately with a hamstring. He'll be followed by Mikey Matuk. Is not a lineup filled with household names for Tampa Bay. And a 1-0. Up too high.
Now, one thing they can do, they can hurt you with the long ball. They have 3rd in the league in home runs, so it's almost like, it's very similar clubs that Porcello's pitched against the last 2 times. The Orioles, who lead the American League in home runs, and the Rays, who are 3rd.
Two-0 pitch and popped him up, but fouled on the left field line, and no play for Young. Porcello's made 11 consecutive starts of at least 7 innings, allowing 3 earned runs or fewer in all of those. And he's tied with Cy Young and Pedro Martinez for the longest such streak in Red Sox history. Coming into tonight. He has been locked in. 2-1. A shot to left. That's going to keep on bouncing. A sliding attempt by Young. He gets by him up against the fence. Dickerson into 3rd. He'll stop there. It'll be 2 bases for Franklin. So they're on at 2nd and 3rd with 1 down in the 2nd.
And Franklin continues to hit against the Red Sox. He gets the two-seam fastball away from him. Right there, maybe 4 or 5 inches off the outside part of the plate. He just spanks it to the opposite field. A little kick attempt right there to knock it down by Chris Young. Gets it back in, holds Ben to 2nd and 3rd. So the Rays threatening here in the bottom of the 2nd inning.
Matuk was the man who homered last night to make it a 1-run game. They never scored beyond that. It was off of Drew Pomeranz, his 2nd of the season. First of his career on the first pitch. And gets a breaking ball away for ball 1.
Last night in the ball game, Matuk gets the fastball right there from Pomeranz and takes it right down that left field line. That would be the only run for the Rays last night.
Blue Jays and Yankees have gone in the 9th inning, 3-0 Toronto. Two 2-0 on Matuk. These are kind of spots Porcello has done so well in. It's a hot shot. Pedroia's coming home with it. The throw is the tag, and he is out of here. Dickerson cut down. Was not a perfect throw. Leon had to go to his right, grab it, and come back to his left to make a diving effort.
Well, the thing about this is, I mean, they had no intention of going home. The infield's back, but the ball's hit so hard to Pedroia on one hop, he realizes he's got a chance. Here comes Leon across to make the tag. I don't believe the runner got the bag with his foot. He did not. He missed it. Trying to slide around and catch the corner, as you can see, did not get home plate until there when he gets his hand on it. That's a heads-up play by Pedroia. You know, they're giving up a run in that situation, but the ball was hit so hard on one hop, he felt like he had a chance to get the play at the plate.
And got Dickerson on the tag by Leon, so they're on at first and third, but 2 down now for Alexei Ramirez. And a tapper toward third. Fair ball. Sliding stab. Holt up and gunning and got him. How about getting out of that inning without a run, Story? Pretty remarkable stuff from Porcello and company.
Home plate with the infield back. Now here's the reason. Watch the runner on third freeze on contact. He does not get a good jump. He thinks the ball's on a line. He holds, and that's the difference right there. Plus the ball's hit hard. Had he been going right away, he would have made that easily. But the fact is, he held at third base because the ball was a line drive out toward Pedroia. He wants to make sure it's not caught and get doubled up, and that's the difference. Pedroia may have noticed that out of the corner of his eye. He knows it was hit hard. He knew he had a chance and gets him at the plate.
Boy, the Red Sox with a couple of tremendous defensive plays. Sandy Leon also made a really nice play to get the tag on Dickerson, and then moments later Brock Holt at third base.
Yeah, Brock Holt going right to the line, and that's a tough hop right there. That's got top spin on it, and that's got left field corner written all over it. But no, Brock Holt able to make the play, and great defense on both sides, Pedroia and Holt in that inning.
Cut on a miss, and Sandy Leon retired on strikes, so one away here in the third inning. Red Sox still on top, 1-0, even though Tampa Bay had runners at second and third and only one man out.
The whole key to that play was the runner at third base, Dickerson, freezing. And I don't really blame him because the ball is a line drive, and you got to make sure it goes through or hits the ground. So I don't put a lot of blame on him, but that really was the difference of getting him at home plate and not getting him.
Dustin 0 for 1, struck out first inning. And he pops this one over second in shallow center field. Ramirez, a shortstop, taking command for out number 2. Xander Bogaerts will be next. CVS Health is a proud supporter of Stand Up to Cancer. Now through October 1, you can support innovative cancer research by making a donation at CVS pharmacy locations, or you can donate online at cvs.com/SU2C. Bogaerts 0 for 1. He has fly to center. He's 1 for 10 against Andriese in his career. Red Sox in the lead 1-0 after the RBI double by Brock Holt to drive in Mookie Betts. Sox trying to chase down Texas and Cleveland for the American League's best record. It's a big prize because home field advantage throughout the postseason comes with that. Red Sox are 90-64, Cleveland 90-63, and Texas 91-63. Two down for Xander and the 1-1. Bogaerts trying to pick up some steam on the trip. Hitting in front of David Ortiz, who waits on deck. And the 2-1. Slapped in the air to center field, and Kiermaier right there. And that will do it for the Red Sox. It's a 1-2-3 inning for the right-hander. Ready to hit the ice for their first preseason game. Join Jack and Andy on Monday night at 7 as the Bees host the Columbus Blue Jackets at TD Garden. Catch all the action right here on NESN. Bottom of the third, Red Sox in the lead 1-0. Rick Porcello on the bump tonight. He allowed a single and a double last inning, but the defense really helped him. With a couple of outstanding plays. Casale leading things off here in the third inning, then Forsythe and Kiermaier. One and two.
That fastball sneaks up on him. That one was only 90 miles an hour, but a very tardy swing by Casale.
And the 1-2 to the catcher. just got a piece of it. You may have gotten a shot of Pablo Sandoval inside the Red Sox dugout a couple of moments ago. He is with the ball club. John Farrell said something that caught everyone's attention before the game. He said if there's some kind of an injury to a third baseman, it's not out of the realm of possibility. You could see Pablo Sandoval suiting up in the postseason for the Red Sox. That one is lined to right field. Mookie Betts racing for it, cuts it off right there in the bullpen area, and Casale is on with a single. Pablo has trimmed down. Looks like he's lost maybe 15-20 pounds from the last time we saw him, coming back from that labrum injury suffered back in the spring.
Well, that's kind of stunning to me, and I would have to think for that to happen, if any chance at all of that happening, two guys would have to be hurt. I mean, you're talking about the possibility of three guys playing third base: Travis Shaw, Brock Holt, and Aaron Hill. So I would think two of those guys would have to be hurt before you would activate any consideration of activating Sandoval. That's just my opinion.
Sure. And Pablo is way ahead of schedule on his recovery. He's talked about that. John Farrell was discussing it today. We shall see. Forsythe, the batter, lofts a fly down the right field line. Long jaunt for Betts, heading for it, can't get it on top of that hill. Forsythe 0 for 1, struck out his first time up.
You see Mookie right there looking at the bullpen area. That's one thing I hate about having the bullpens on the playing field in foul territory. You know, when an outfielder has to go in that direction, you got to climb them out to be able to make a catch there, and that intimidates a lot of guys.
In Houston, of course, they have that hill in center field, which is in play. And so is the flagpole center field in Houston. Foul tip to the mitt. Leon hangs on for the strikeout, and down goes Forsythe for the second time. DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing at DraftKings right now. Play free daily using the promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com.
Now, it's interesting, Dave, watching Porcello. You know, there was a time, if you were a hitter, you say, well, make him get the ball up because he's a sinker ball pitcher, throws a lot of ground ball outs. It's not the case anymore. You can't say that to yourself because he does throw a lot of high fastballs now.
Got Kiermaier to pop up the first time. 1 out, 1 on, and through there for a called strike. He gave the number in his last start in the Baltimore outing that for a major league pitcher, it's 42% average ground ball outs, and he's only at about 44% this year, so just slightly above average. So to call him just a sinker baller does not do him justice anymore.
No, it doesn't apply. You know, he's a guy who this season has been able to use a variety of different pitches. His sinker included a high fastball, a cutter, a slider, a curveball, and a changeup. I mean, he throws them all in the course of the game. There's the changeup right there, but missing outside.
Well, in Baltimore, I think he could have counted on 3 fingers how many times he missed the entire night. He was strike one on just about everybody. Throwing it exactly where he wanted. He could have thrown it into a teacup that night. Casale not swift at first base, and that one's fouled back by Kiermaier.
I'll say he's not swift. That ball he hit down the line, I mean, for most people, 95% of the runners had to be a double. He was just about getting to first base when Betts got there.
Man at the plate runs very well. Kiermaier. Here's the 2-2. There's a shot to right field. Charging on Mookie Betts down to second base. Casale. They're having some good swings tonight against Porcello.
Yeah, they are. They're putting some balls on the line against him. Right now, that ball hit hard by Kiermaier. And it's that two-seam fastball going away from him on the outside part of the plate, but he hooks it for the line drive base hit.
Not 2 innings in a row, they've had 2 hits against the right-hander. Brings up Longoria, who struck out in the first. Started the night 10 for 42, 238 against Rick Porcello, and he hammers that one foul.
That time Porcello trying to induce a ground ball. He threw that two-seam fastball, that sinking fastball, down and in to Longoria, but he hooked it foul.
Longoria has hit 5 home runs against the Sox this year. The 0-1 in there for a called strike at 90. Miller on deck. He's hit 30 home runs this year. 0-2 and a high fly ball to center field, but a lazy fly. Jackie Bradley coming in. Runners stay put. That is out number 2. Most popular way to follow the Red Sox postseason push is with MLB.com at bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy game day, StatCast, news, and more. Get MLB.com at bat on your favorite devices now. Those are members of the Red Sox Instructional League. Players and staff gathering tonight here at the Trop. Great to see them here. Seeing the hottest team in baseball.
And dreaming about the day that they may be out on a major league field.
Probably dreaming outdoor dreams, though, right? Not, dome dreams.
Well, I don't think they care really where they play. Parking lot, that would be fine.
Here's Miller, 0 for 1. He has popped up to third. He went for the downs on that swing.
And
he's taking home run.
He's got the big uppercut swing, so he becomes vulnerable to high fastballs, and Porcello starts him out with a high fastball.
Casale and Kiermaier aboard. Red Sox in the lead 1-0. Here's Jackie Bradley on his horse, racing hard to the track, and it's going to drop in and take a bounce. That's going to bring in 2 runs. Casale scores, Kiermaier scores. Miller hammered that one, and another well-struck shot against Rick Porcello tonight.
And Miller did a very good job staying back on the changeup that time from Porcello. Here's the changeup away, and he's able to hook it for a while there. For a second, I thought Bradley was going to catch up to this as he turned his back to home plate, but he couldn't. It was just too far over his head. Tampa Bay takes the lead by a run.
RBIs number 79 and 80 for Brad Miller. That's their 3rd hit in the inning and their 5th hit in the last 2 innings. And sends up Dickerson, who ripped a single his first time up. So Tampa Bay has the lead 2-1 on a double by Miller. Dickerson in his last 16 games is hitting .361 and with a lot of extra base hits.
And definitely a pull hitter, especially on the infield. Red Sox in the shift.
Porcello's 0-1 popped him up. He'll be back out of play. So 2 strikes on Dickerson. Porcello so far tonight a little bit off. He's allowed more hits tonight in 2 2/3 than he allowed in 9 innings in Baltimore. But he gave up only 4. He's allowed 5 this evening. Miller at second, the 0-2, and he just does get a piece of it.
After the curveball down, let's see if he goes back to the fastball up in the zone. Kevin Cash, the manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, former Red Sox player.
And a first-rate cribbage partner for Terry Francona. Two strikes on Dickerson.
That got the umpire off the mask, square off the mask. And he says he's okay and ready to go.
Carlos Torres back there. Inning started with a Casale base hit. Kiermaier also singled. Miller driving them both in with a double of the warning track over the head of Jackie Bradley. 2-1 Tampa Bay. Red Sox in the fourth inning will have due up Ortiz, Betts, and Ramirez. Nick Franklin on deck, who has been giving the Red Sox a lot of trouble this season. Here comes the 1-2. All even on Dickerson. Good power as well with 23 home runs. Since the All-Star break, he has 32 extra base hits, tied for fourth in the American League. Porcello trying to get him and bounces it up there.
Porcello doesn't feel as good as he did in his last start just by the pace that he's working at right now. I mean, the last time against Baltimore, it was get the ball and throw the ball. You could just feel it.
And he was just pouring in quality strikes all night. Well, he hasn't walked anyone tonight. Now 3-2 on Dickerson. Miller leading at second. That one flared to right, dropping quickly. It's going to fall in for a base hit and produce another run. Miller scores. Now the throw to first base, and the runner will advance to second. Dickerson with some cagey base running. Another run in to make it 3-1 Tampa Bay. Dickerson finding the right spot down the right field line.
Yeah, and a little bit sloppy here by the Red Sox. The throw is going to come behind Dickerson, as you're going to see here. And once Dickerson reads that, he just takes off for second base, and there's no throw by Hanley Ramirez. So, you know, they get the bonus there. They get an extra man in the scoring position. That throw from Mookie Betts should have gone to second base just to make sure that was not going to happen and they would not get a man in the scoring position.
Well, it's officially a single, and he picks up the RBI, so Dickerson's 2 for 2. And sends up Franklin, who tore into a double his first time up. So a 3-1 Tampa Bay lead against Rick Porcello. Early in the winning streak, the Red Sox were coming from behind often. They're going to have to do it again tonight. And that's across for strike one. Porcello perfect against Tampa Bay so far this year at 4-0. Dickerson taking second on the throw after his RBI single.
You know what I think the problem is, Dave? Has there been a change in the hat of Rick Porcello? The real bad one, the gross one, is that gone? Or is that the same hat? It's tough to tell. It's indoors.
It's a great question. And you know what? It does look different. It looks a lot cleaner.
Yeah, it looks darker, but I don't know if that's because we're indoors or not.
You know, you saw all those salt stains previously. I don't know if it's the same cap or not. He is very superstitious about it. 1-2. Popped him up, foul off third base, and plenty of room for Brock Holt as he makes the catch. However, they get 3 runs, and now Tampa Bay has the lead 3-1. is available for $129.95. Call Big Time Bats at 866-280-BATS. Or go to BigTimeBats.com right now. Red Sox trailing 3-1 as we go to the fourth inning. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, Garrett Austin with you from the trop. David Ortiz sending Mott took the right fielder to the warning track with a line shot in the first inning. And he's 0 for 1. It's Betts and Ramirez after Big Papi. David with a 5-game hitting streak. 1-1.
You know, T's like a rock star. You know, I mean, he comes out of the dugout prior to the game to stretch. He gets a standing ovation for that. He runs his silly little sprint that he runs out to center field. Gets an ovation for that. Gets an ovation on the way back. Gets an ovation when he's announced. And then when he comes to the plate.
The soundtrack of his final season as he chops that one to first base, and Miller's there to pluck it. And Ortiz is 0 for 2 tonight. We got to find out if that is Rick Porcello's cap that he's been wearing all season long, or if it got switched up or even washed, because if you wash it, Jerry, that also ruins it.
Well, I'm looking at it. Look, we got a shot from his last start in Baltimore, and there's clearly, more of a salt mark on the top of the hat. But this hat he's wearing tonight doesn't look brand new.
No.
There's the last start. You can see clearly that spot on the left. Now tonight, there's still a little bit of white up top, as you can see. Maybe they just cleaned up the salt. I don't know how you do that, if that's possible.
I don't want to be the one who does it.
No, I don't want to be responsible for that, but it's hat game.
Definitely has a different appearance. Betts 1 for 1, a single and a run, driven in by Brock Holt's double. His hitting streak to 11 in a row with a single, leading the majors with 208 hits. 2-1. One thing about Andres, he's been going pretty short in his starts since he gave up 10 hits, 7 runs, and 4 innings at Fenway at the end of August. His longest outing has only been 5 1/3 innings. Typically not out there very long. And now 3-1 on Mookie.
Yeah, he's about a 5-inning guy, 5-6 innings tops.
Good count for Betts, who has 31 home runs. And the 3-1. He walks him. Betts continues to get on base at a ridiculous rate. Second time tonight. Sox fans looking for the best seats to the biggest games. Check out the official Red Sox ticket resale marketplace at RedSoxReplay.com. It's the best place for season ticket holders to sell their tickets when they can't make it to the game. Anthony Ramirez, a strikeout victim in the second. He's 0 for 1. When he belted his 10th home run this month on Thursday, he joined David Ortiz, Tony Conigliaro, and Jimmy Fox as the only Red Sox to hit 10 September home runs. It has been some month for Hanley. He'll take a ball. He also hit 10 home runs in April of last year, you may recall. He was back in his unhappy days as an outfielder. So much happier this year at first base. Tampa Bay in front here, 3-1 in the fourth. There goes Betts, and it's fouled away, and I think Mookie would have had that stolen if not for the foul ball.
And that's what we were talking about early last time Betts was on. I mean, you know, it's a situation where if you're a base stealer, you got to go against him because he takes forever to get the ball home. Watch the jump by Betts. He's got a huge jump to second base, but you know, Hanley's job is to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and if you get a pitch you think you can do it on, you swing. A little bit different if there's somebody else hitting.
1-1 on Hanley. Brock Holt will be next. See, Mookie is running again. Andrews' season has been a roller coaster. He started out by going 6-0 at one point. During that losing streak, they put him in the bullpen and brought him back to the rotation. And he lost 7 consecutive games before winning the last 2. There goes Betts. Swing and a miss. Here's the throw. And he is safe. So Mookie Betts with the theft.
And stolen base there. No contest at all. To get Betts, he goes in head first. The throw, as you see, is going to tail back toward his feet. And got tangled in between Mookie Betts. So he gets in a scoring position with the 1 out, and that was just an invitation to run right there from Andriese.
Number 26 for Betts. So Mookie grimacing a little bit there.
I think he got hit by the throw.
He did. The 1-2 stopped by Casale. Brock Holt on deck. And Mookie just filthy. Red Sox trying to figure out Matt Andriese. As Brock Holt did last inning with a double. The 2-2 to Hanley. Ground ball the other way, through for a base hit. That's going to bring in the run. Betts in to score for the second time. And the Red Sox close the gap to 3-2 on the RBI single, number 110 for Hanley Ramirez.
That's a good job of hitting by Hanley again, going the other way. We've seen this so much. So you get the stolen base. You got speed at second. The second baseman, Forsythe, has to really kind of hold on Mookie Betts. That leaves a big hole at second base. And that's exactly where Ramirez puts it. Mookie scores after the steal.
.119 runs scored for Mookie Betts. So the beat goes on for him, and the Red Sox are down a run to the slow working Andriese. Brock Holt doubled in a run to score Betts in the second. One man away. And he'll look at a strike. Sox have already won the season series with Tampa Bay. Right now 10-7. 2 games remaining tonight and tomorrow. They have been tough on the Red Sox, as most Red Sox fans are very well aware. It's only the second time since 2008 the Red Sox have won the season series. The 0-1 to the dirt again. Brock has been swinging a good bat, hitting .317 his last 20 games. A run in for Boston. 3-2 Tampa Bay. Matt Andriese with a 1-1. Strike. Took something off there. 80 miles an hour. There certainly is the philosophy inside their minor league system for starting pitchers to slow down the tempo, especially with men on base for Tampa Bay.
I don't get it. Of course, who am I to argue? They've always had good pitching.
1-2 rattle foul. Depending on who you talk to, they make a concerted effort to disrupt hitters' timing.
Well, if by putting you to sleep in the batter's box is directing your timing, then they're correct. Or disrupting, I should say, whatever I said.
One-two pitch. 2-2. Chris Young on deck. I think of the really fast workers that we've witnessed, recently, guys like Greg Maddux. Pretty much got it through it. Burley in his prime, he was an outstanding pitcher. Got it through it. He could throw 3 pitches in the time it takes Andriese to deliver 1. And those guys got it done. Very effective. One of those guys in the Hall of Fame. Rick Porcello, a guy who works quickly on most nights. And having a sensational year. Here comes the 2-2 pitch now to Brock Holt. Ground ball to shortstop. Ramirez will take it to the bag for an out there. Guns on and gets him for the twin killing. A double play. And Andriese is out of the inning, but the Red Sox get one back. The 1986 Red Sox in game number 155. The Red Sox beat the Orioles 7-5. Wade Boggs 2 for 4, drove in 3 runs for Boston. That'll be in there for a strike on Matuk. Underway here in the last half of the 4th. Red Sox are down 3-2 to Tampa Bay. Porcello roughed up for all 3 runs last inning. He's got Matuk in their only encounter tonight as he grounded into a fielder's choice. That was the play where Pedroia made an outstanding stab of the ball off one bounce and then fired to get the runner. Dickerson trying to score at home plate. Sandy Leon also with a really fine tag on that effort. The 0-2 pitch to Matuk. And he won't chase it. Alexei Ramirez on deck. This is their bottom third of the order. And a breaking ball outside. Red Red Sox with the longest active winning streak in the majors at 9 consecutive victories. The 2-2. Cut on and missed. He strikes him out. Time for a game break now, brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Here's Tom Caron. TC, thank you very much. So the AL East up to the moment, a 5-game lead right now against Toronto, pending the outcome of this one. Red Sox with a victory would push it back to 5.5 on the Blue Jays, heading into the finale here at Tampa Bay tomorrow. Ramirez 0 for 1. Pops a foul out of play. He is grounded out to third base.
You know, Tom Caron's always working. We got that update. He also sent me a text between innings saying that Porcello got a Gatorade shower in an interview, I guess, after the last game in Baltimore, and that may have taken the sweat off there. That's going around on Twitter, so that possibly could be it.
It sounds like it is it, as it's loop foul out of play by Ramirez.
I mean, we know everybody wants to know. It's the want to know thing here tonight. And that's certainly not a new hat. There's no question about that. I got a message into a source, and I'll see if the source returns my message.
This is quite an investigation we're launching here.
Well, it's huge. It's big.
New pitch to Ramirez. Into the dirt. Big time investigation being launched on Twitter tonight. Tom Caron took NESN.com's Mike Cole and Ricky Doyle behind the scenes of his exclusive documentary interview with David Ortiz. You can hear his insights on NESN Around podcast. That's available at NESN.com/podcast. Foul ball off third base by Ramirez. Casali on deck. Certainly get to the bottom of the cap. I think the Gatorade makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Typically not used as a cleansing agent, but in this case, but there's a lot of magic in that cap. You can kind of see a little bit of that salt at the very top.
There's still some left. There's no question about that, but not nearly as much as it used to be.
1-2. Fouled again. The longest discussion I've ever had about salt in someone's cap here tonight.
Well, you know, when you got a lucky cap, you want to make sure you continue to wear it, and I believe he is.
1-2. And it's in there. Strike 3. Caught him looking. Made a great pitch on the outside.
A little bit sharper this inning. Got a strikeout with a curveball, and now gets the fastball to the outside part of the plate. That two-seamer that comes back to the corner.
Now let's go back to that Gatorade dump. Does this get the cap big time?
Oh no, not really.
And that's water, right? And then a towel. I don't know. I still think it's the same lid, though. Don't you?
Well, I'm totally confused now, because if you look at the bath, he didn't get it on the cap.
They babied him with that bath. It's fouled away by Casali.
It looks like they did some work. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the clubhouse folks did a little bit of work on that cap to get some of the salt stains off of it, because there's still some on there, as you can see. Okay. Talk to baseball.
Thank you, Jerry. Here comes the 0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes with Forsythe coming up next. If we get that far, 3-2 Tampa Bay. Porcello coming in as the major leagues winningest pitcher. Also leading the majors with 30 starts of 2 or fewer walks. As he drills in another strike, and he strikes out the side here in the 4th inning. 3-2 Tampa Bay.
4th inning with 3 straight strikeouts. At first, it's going to be a curveball doing the honors, and then back-to-back fastballs. Fastball to Ramirez and Casale.
Lexus making a pledge to strikeout hunger. For every strikeout by a Sox pitcher, Lexus donates $50 to the Greater Boston Food Bank. 3-2 Tampa Bay out of the 5th inning. Young, Bradley, Leon against Andriese. And so far he's held Boston to 3 hits. Young 0 for 1. He's tapped to third. Tried to hold up the appeal and no swing, says Sam Holbrook, who will have the plate for the finale tomorrow. So the count 2-0 on Chris Young. Jackie Bradley next. Young, since he came off the disabled list after that hamstring injury on August the 22nd, is hitting .298 with 3 home runs. So far 2 for 5 on the road trip. Here's the 2-1. Right into that shift. Forsythe guns and gets it. The second baseman. So 1 man gone. Stay right here after the 3rd out of this inning for a special behind the scenes look at what happens in between innings. Right here at the Trop. We have a good crowd here tonight.
Not bad. You know, it was pretty good last night. It looks maybe even a little bit bigger here tonight. We really didn't expect many people at all for this weekend series, but it's been a bit of a surprise.
There's so many Red Sox fans from this part of the country wanting a final look at David Ortiz. And the Red Sox are playing so well. That one trickled foul by Jackie Bradley. 0 for 1 with a fly to left. Jackie is 0 for 9 against this right-hander in his career. Had a notion, but downstairs, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Sox with single runs in the 2nd and in the 4th inning. 1 and 2 on Jackie.
There have been very few straight fastballs tonight from Andriese, mostly cut fastballs that he's been featuring.
Jackie in a pretty good battle for that Gold Glove, you would have to think, in center field here in 2016, along with Kiermaier. Swing and a miss. Down he goes. Casale will throw to first and complete the K. And so there are 2 down. Kiermaier is going to be in the running, but he's only played about 100 games because he had an injury early in the season that cost him a bunch of time. That may work against him in the Gold Glove vote.
It may, but it's tough to take one away from a guy that already has it. You know, and you mentioned about 100 games, and you wonder if that's going to be enough to remove that Gold Glove from the incumbent.
It was superb. So a great throw he made tonight from center field. Didn't get the runner Mookie Betts, but made it a lot closer than it should have been. Here's Sandy Leon. Sandy struck out first time up. He's 0 for 1.
It's one of those very rare straight fastballs that time.
Two away in the 5th and fouled off. He reaches. Dustin Pedroia would bat in this inning. Sox trying to get something going against the right-hander. Sandy is 3 for 9 off him as he takes a pitch into the dirt. Leon just 1 for 16 on the road trip, but he had a key RBI single in Baltimore the other day as the Red Sox rallied and knocked off the Orioles, part of that 4-game sweep. Fouled again. Red Red Sox heading on to the Bronx after tomorrow's game, an off day on Monday. And then 3 against the Yankees before coming home against Toronto for the last 3. Here's the 1-2. And just off the outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Reese says yes, and the 2-2 coming. He spoiled another one.
Chose the changeup that time on the 2-2 count. Fouled off by Leon.
Sandy continues to do a very good job behind the plate when he's in there. 39% caught stealing for him. Since he joined the Red Sox last year, it's 43% overall. And Reese takes another sign from the catcher Casali, and the 2-2. He gets him. Swing and a miss for strike 3. 1-2-3 go the Red Sox. 3-2 Tampa Bay in front. Don't go anywhere as we stay inside the park.
David Ortiz's fire.
At the Trop here, bottom half of the 5th inning. 3-2 Tampa Bay with the lead. And Rick Porcello settled down big time last inning by striking out the side. He got Montook, Ramirez, and Casali in order. This guy has had all sorts of difficulty with him tonight. Forsythe, he's been up twice, and Porcello has whiffed him both times.
Yeah, both times on fastballs.
Logan Forsythe, their leadoff man. And he cracks that one foul. Well, leading off in the first inning of games, he's hitting .336. That would pass Carl Crawford for the best average in club history leading off an inning over the course of an entire season. Crawford hit .326 in 04. Just never worked out for Carl Crawford as a member of the Red Sox, did it?
No, it did not. A totally different atmosphere for him.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
Forsythe, very solid player for the Tampa Bay Rays, offensively, defensively.
Does not like facing Rick Porcello very much. 2 for 16. And foul tipped, and that one got Leon. That one bit Sandy, and John Farrell's going to come out with a trainer. And he is grimacing in pain. foul by Forsythe. And we are not going to show it. But he will need a moment. And just now getting to his feet. Kiermaier on deck. 3-2 Tampa Bay. They've out hit the Red Sox 6-3. Leon has been such a valuable guy for this Red Sox team, the way he has swung the bat. Started play tonight hitting .322, trying to fight his way out of a slump lately. And will remain in the game with a count of 1-2 on Forsythe. Porcello trying to go to 22-4. And a chance coming into play tonight to lower that ERA to the lowest in the American League. High fly, that one in on the hands and popped into left field to Young. Easy play for Chris. And the first out. Capital One Frozen Fenway returns to Boston in January 2017. Fans can enjoy 2 exciting outdoor Hockey East doubleheaders January 7th and 14th. Tickets are on sale now. Visit redsox.com/frozenfenway for more information. Kiermaier's gone 1 for 2 with a base hit. And if he gets on, he may attempt to run to his 20 stolen bases.
Brock Holton very tight at third base, about even with the bag in case of the bunt.
1 ball, 1 strike. Kiermaier had another outfield assist last night. Right now, the 23 defensive runs saved, just in front of Toronto's Kevin Pillar, another outstanding defensive center fielder. A bunch of them in the American League. Longoria on deck. 3-2 Tampa Bay. Porcello with a 1-2 and made him dance, and he rolled over on his back. Kiermaier was determined not to let that one get him. 2-2.
And tried to snap off that curveball down and in, and obviously overthrowing it a little bit. Almost got the back foot of Kiermaier.
He does have occasional power. He's hit 12 homers. Lunging, and he popped it up. Leon has room, flipping the mask, and he's there to make the play. Let's get downstairs to Garrett Austin.
Obi, the Rays are expected to honor David Ortiz with a gift selected by the players, and Ortiz said that means a lot. He said throughout his career he's had good relationships with guys on other teams, not even guys that he played with. He said he really cares about guys doing good, and that young players need to hear from veterans so they improve, and he doesn't mind being that guy. He said times are really different when he was coming up, and guys were more selfish and more concerned about themselves, and he said he can tell times are different because across the league he sees veteran players reaching out to younger guys, and that really shows that they all really want the game to get better. Doesn't matter what team you play for. Obi.
Garrett, thank you. Longoria, the batter, has struck out and fly to center. There was debate about whether Tampa Bay was going to honor Big Papi. And apparently at some point they got together, the front office and the players, because the players very much wanted to do it on the Rays side, and they applied pressure. Longoria was one of the key guys, in fact, who said, we're going to do something to honor this man. Felt a bit like it dragged the front office to do it.
It was a little bit the same way in Baltimore, was it not? I mean, there was some question whether it was going to happen there.
Yes. That is in there for strike 3. Makes very fast work of Longoria, striking him out for the second time. Right now, get your postseason seats at no risk with full refund for any game not played. Visit aceticket.com for more details and to secure your Sox tickets today. Bill the Poppy lives even here at the Trop. Pretty good look.
He's got that on in his disguise because between innings he ran down and took a picture in the Red Sox club dugout. So nobody knew who that was.
Mom did. As Pedroia socks that one through the hole for a base hit. Well, that's one that Petey needed because he's fighting his way out of an 0 for 17. And 1 for 3 tonight.
Now Pedroia getting this pitch inside and hooks it hard in that hole between third base and shortstop. So as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, the 0 for 17 that he was on is now complete and over. And he can run off a hot streak in a hurry.
Well, don't we know it? Xander Bogaerts 0 for 2, a couple of flyouts to center field. Red Sox are trailing here 3-2 in the 6th inning. Ortiz on deck. Andrees, the right-hander. This is typically about the time he begins to wear down. See if that happens here this evening.
Tell you about that kid running down with disguise on to take a picture. There's the picture being taken of the Red Sox dugout. Nobody knew who it was. Absolutely nobody.
I didn't start shaving until I was about 40. He's got it made. The 0-1 pitch to Xander Bogaerts. Fly to right field. Matuk back. Had some trouble with it, but he caught it. Pedroia heads back into first base. Yankee Matuk kind of scuffling with it, but he hauls it in.
That's a nice play. It ends up being a very nice play for Matuk as he goes back to the wall. He started in a step. And then little tiny steps as he's heading back toward the wall, but is able to make the catch. Going away. Pedroia was just about at second base, had to really hurry to get back to the first base bag.
And David Ortiz 0 for 2 about to step in. David last night with a home run tied Lou Gehrig for 10th place all time in the extra base hits list. Over 3 times in his last 5 games. Red Sox could use a jolt right here. He takes ball 1. 3-2 the Rays. David does have 1 career home run against Andrees. One out and 1 on. Last night, David with the home run to right field off the last of the catwalks out there. And the tail of the tape, according to the Tampa Bay folks, was 411 feet. After the game, Mookie Betts said, "You got to be kidding me. That was 500 feet." And he had a pretty good look at it from the on-deck area. In there for a strike.
Another look at the home run last night, and just a monster of a home run.
Archer would agree. 2-run shot. Red Sox won 2-1. That one slammed the other way in the line. Dickerson will make the catch. Back to first again, Dustin Pedroia, and they're 2 down.
You just hope it's not one of those nights. I mean, there's been some solid contact by the Red Sox, and especially in this inning. Bogaerts going deep to right field. And now the line shot by Ortiz to the opposite field is caught.
Mookie Betts is 1 for 1 with a single and a run, and a walk, a stolen base, and a run. They scored both of the Red Sox runs tonight. Two down, Pedroia at first base, and it is in there for a called strike. They have activity in their bullpen. Evelyn is the left-hander and Garten the right-hander. Again, typically Andriese doesn't go much deeper than 5 innings. He is at 5 2/3 to this point. Mookie Betts leading the big leagues with 208 hits. And here's the 0-1. Popped him up. Back goes Casale, but it'll curl back into the stands. Nesson is proud to present our second Big Papi special, the David Ortiz Era, presented by Foxwoods Resort Casino on Wednesday. Catch the David Ortiz Era immediately following the Red Sox-Yankees game on Wednesday on Nesson and Nesson National. Oh, 2 on Betts. Pedroia off first base, and here comes. Up and in. And back in again is Dustin Pedroia.
Now thinking that Pedroia may go with 2 outs, try to get in scoring position for Betts. A couple of throws to first base. Even those are slow and deliberate.
Everything he does. Taking his time again in a 1-2, runner holding. Fly ball into right, backing out Forsythe, coming on Matuk, and the second baseman makes the catch. So nothing comes of the leadoff single, still 3-2. Big time appreciation to loyal fans with great offers and perks like a free beverage when you join, another on your birthday. Enroll today at ddperks.com or on the Dunkin' mobile app. The Red Sox run on Dunkin'. Bottom half of the 6th inning, 3-2 Tampa Bay with the lead. It's another close, low-scoring game at the Trop. Stop me if you've heard that before.
And nothing comes easy here.
No. Has been the case for so long as Miller leads off. It's a high fly down the right field line, but foul. But hit it a long way. And he has hit 30 home runs.
Double in this game back in the third inning to drive-in run.
Mentioned it earlier, 30 home runs, 22 of them have come here at Tropicana Field. Dickerson, Franklin after him. High twisting pop-up again. Leone giving chase over near the Red Sox dugout, but it's over the top.
Take a look back at the third inning at the double by Miller. He got a changeup and took it over the head of Jackie Bradley. 2 runs come across.
And he has driven in 80 runs on the season, one of their best run producers. Five-game hitting streak for Miller. Big shift on. Pedroia's in a shotgun in short right. Two balls, 2 strikes. We talked about Rick Porcello being 4-0 this season against the Rays. He's 9-4 lifetime with them, an ERA under 3. He's had a lot of good starts against them. It's a little bit off in the second and third innings. Over those 2 innings, he surrendered 6 hits and 3 runs. But he has settled in after that. 3-2. And he walks him. To his first walk tonight. Don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings Live right after the game. TC Dennis Eckersley and Steve Lyons will break it down. You'll hear from Rick Porcello and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever, who but WB Mason. That's a leadoff walk in front of Dickerson, who has gone 2 for 2, an RBI single his last time.
That is very rare to have Porcello walk anybody, especially a leadoff man.
That is his first walk since the 9th of September against Toronto. That's how good he's been. Only his second walk this month. Dickerson, the batter, has been on fire. He'll take a ball. They do have Garten going in their bullpen again for the second time. Red Sox pen is quiet at the moment. 3-2 Tampa Bay. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Red Sox tonight only have 4 hits. 2-0. Swung on and missed.
Shakes off a couple of signs and goes to the high cut fastball that time to pick up the strike.
Tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock it'll be Eduardo Rodriguez trying to follow up an outstanding effort against Baltimore. Porcello with a 2-1. There's a start for Eron in which he went 6 1/3, gave up just 4 hits, struck out 7, walked only 1 man. Taking on Odorizzi. Lately on the road, the left-hander has been excellent. Two balls and 2 strikes to Dickerson. And now time is granted to the hitter. If you missed it, Toronto has already won. They beat the Yankees 3-0. At the moment they are 5 games behind the Red Sox. in a race for the American League East pennant. Flared foul out of play. Red Sox with a magic number to clinch the American League East at 4 coming into play here tonight. Nobody out, a man on, 2 balls, 2 strikes, and Dickerson. And a fly to center field. Jackie Bradley will come in on it now and make the grab for the first out. Tomorrow at 12:30, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. TC and Steve Lyons will preview Rodriguez's start against the Rays. DCU is Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? I will say about the magic numbers, that's media talk. That's guys like us who like to throw that number around. You never hear a player mention it.
No, not at all. Their focus is win the game tonight. Tell us, we know when we go to the park and we got a chance if you're going to win it on that particular night. I mean, everybody knows obviously, but at this stage right now, it's win tonight and we'll take a peek at it.
Franklin has doubled and popped up. He's 1 for 2. With Miller still on at first base. He's running. And a ground ball up the middle for a base hit. They had him in motion. So Miller is safely into third on a sharp single by Franklin. He swings the bat against the Red Sox like it's personal.
Yeah, 2 for 5 tonight. Double back in the second inning. The runner off at first base. They had Bogarts covering the bag, and nobody can get to it. So a little first and third action. And at this stage of the game for Tampa, this is a lot of hits. A combination of they don't get many hits. So, a lot of their big run scoring is from home runs. Porcello hasn't been giving up a lot of hits.
Hembree starting for that bullpen mound. So he's going to begin to warm up here. First activity for the Red Sox tonight in the pen. First and third, 1 down. Porcello looking for a double play ball here out of Montook. Went to bunt it and flicked it foul.
Now, no suicide squeeze there. The runner from third base was not breaking. That was more of a safety squeeze opportunity for Montook. By safety squeeze, that means the runner at third base, if it reads the ball is going to be on the ground and it's not directly back at the pitcher, then you take off and go.
Miller at third, Franklin at first, and the 0-1 not bunting here, and he takes it up and in. Rick Porcello's pitching line brought to you by Ace Ticket. 5 1/3, 7 hits, 3 earned. And a man at third base, he walked to put him on. One scooped up by Sandy Leon. Nice play by Sandy to keep that one from getting through.
Yeah, that was tough too. That breaking ball was way outside. It comes back a little bit toward Leon, but he saves a run as he's able to get it into the pocket of his glove.
Montook with a home run yesterday against Pomeranz. Just his second of the season. 2-1. Foul back. And right under us. Porcello trying to get through 6 innings. He's behind here 3-2. They're going to strike out Montook for the second time, and he does on a cut and miss 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
That's interesting which way he was going to go. You got a first and third situation right there, and you're thinking about possibly maybe a sinker for a double play. No, he elects to go upstairs with the fastball and take the strikeout instead. No contact in that situation. Probably better.
His 8th K in the book. Robbie Scott joining Hembree in the bullpen. So 2 down. Porcello trying to do what he has done all season long, and that is stop a big inning. He did give up 3 runs in the 3rd. He has 2 on here, and Ramirez the batter. But he grounds that one right to Bogarts. He shovels onto Pedroia, and he does get out of the inning. Stranding 2, still a 1-run game. Matt Andrews, his pitching line brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. Kind of put the Red Sox to sleep tonight through 6 innings, allowing only 4 hits and a couple of runs. He stands to win it. 76 pitches, 52 for strikes. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Kia. So they're going to bring on Ryan Garten, who we saw last night. 7th inning, he retired the 2 batters he faced.
Yeah, 4 times he's been up and down from the minor leagues to the big leagues this season.
He'll get Ramirez, Holt, and Young. And there's no earthly way he can work slower than the man he is replacing. Hanley has struck out and singled in a run. Red Sox are down by 1 as we go to the 7th. Hanley with 9 home runs in his last 15 games. 13 home runs in his last 25. And Brock Holt on deck. Here's the 0-1. Too high. And Tazawa beginning to throw in the Red Sox pen. So far, Porcello allowing 3 runs through 6. That's across for a strike. So the Red Sox trying to win for the 10th consecutive time. Trying to get to 91 wins. 1-2. Ground ball sharply and right past Miller. He could not get it. And a break for the Red Sox as Hanley Ramirez is aboard to begin the 7th.
I don't know if that ball took a bad hopping out, but it looked like it did as it just hopped right over the backhanded attempt by Miller at first base. He's shading, he's pulling towards second base, but then hard to tell if that ball bad hopped him or just misplayed it.
Going to be a base hit. Second single tonight for Hanley Ramirez. He's 2 for 3, and here's Brock Holt, who doubled in a run in the 2nd, and he's also hit into a double play. 3-2 Tampa Bay. Fouled away as he went after the very first pitch. They have Farquhar along with Evelyn, the left-hander, throwing side by side in their bullpen. The 0-1 to Holt. Stopped by Casale. It has been a career year in one respect for Brock Holt. He has 7 home runs. That is a career high. His 13 career home runs for the Red Sox, all 13 against different opponents. And Garten with the 1-1. Fouled away off to the left.
And a fastball about the same velocity as Andres, 90-91 with it. Fastball away that time, top of the strike zone, outside part of the plate. Fouled off down the third base line.
On deck, Chris Young. Tampa Bay had 3-2 in the 7th. Red Sox with a tying run on, however. And another one blew foul by Brock. Each of the Red Sox last 9 wins has come by 4 runs or fewer. So nothing new for this Red Sox team as of late to be in a close one. The righties 1-2. Evens up the count. Jackie Bradley so far 0 for 2 tonight. He is a few hitters away. The 2-2 coming. Looped and a base hit into center field. Hanley Ramirez up to second base. So back-to-back singles here in the 7th inning for the Red Sox.
Let's see how the Red Sox play this now. You got Young coming to the plate if he's allowed to hit by Farrell against a right-hander. Here's the base hit to center field by Brock Holt. See if they put on a sacrifice attempt here as they're working toward the bottom of the order. So we'll see.
Big conference on the hill for the Rays now. So it'll be Young to hit against the right-hander. Benintendi is available tonight. That would be another option.
Now, if you brought in Benintendi right now, they'd probably go to Evelyn in the bullpen to be lefty against lefty. So they're going to stay with this matchup.
Chris Wright at 280 with 9 home runs. He has gone 0 for 2 tonight with a ground to third and another to second. Ramirez at second, Holt at first. And nobody out. And ball 1. Chris for the season 258 against right-handers, 333 against lefties. And a 1-strike pitch from Garten. 1-1.
Like a breaking ball that time, a slider that's down and out of the strike zone. That's chased by Young.
Bradley on deck. And Garten firing a 1-1. And missed badly. There's not been a lot of electricity in the Red Sox batting order tonight. but back-to-back singles to start the 7th inning. Tampa Bay 3, Red Sox 2, and a 2-1. Flared foul, even up the count. John Farrell sticking with Young here. Ramirez leading his second. Brock Holt at first. And a 2-2 from Garten. A swinging bunt. The catcher Casale will throw on to first and gets him. The runners advance to second and third, so in fact it has the same effect as a sacrifice.
That could have saved 5 minutes by just sacrificing in that situation. Instead, you get about the same thing, right? A little tap down that first base line that stays in fair territory. And Casale makes the good play, gets himself inside the runner to make that throw to first base, but 2 men get in the scoring position, and out comes Kevin Cash.
He's got his lefty ready to go against Jackie Bradley, so he'll make the move right now. We'll take the break as well. The Red Sox have some brewing, second and third with 1 down. This is Dana Evelyn, the left-hander who came on to face one batter last night. That was David Ortiz, who slammed one off the center field fence but was thrown out at second base trying to make it a double. Now he gets Jackie Bradley. With runners at second and third, 1 down, Red Sox threatening to grab the lead here, 3-2 Tampa Bay. Evelyn, in fact, has stranded all 17 inherited runners. So he's been tough in spots like this. The 1-0. Jackie has flied to left and struck out tonight.
That puts Jackie back in the driver's seat here. 2 balls, no strikes. And whether it be fastball or breaking ball again, he's going to try to get a strike on this. So we'll see if Jackie's up to the task.
87 RBIs for the center fielder. Nothing close. He's got a 3-0.
Stays with the breaking ball and missed by a mile.
Leone on deck. Ramirez at third, Holt at second. The 3-0 pitch, taking all the way, and that's ball 4, and that loads him up. Well, Jackie got nothing to swing at. Here comes Cash again. He's had Farquhar warming, and he's going to bring him in. And bring him by Plainridge Park Casino. TC, Dennis Eckersley, Steve Lyons will have an update on the playoff races in the American League. So Evelyn comes out of the bullpen and walks Jackie Bradley on 4 pitches. Now they go to Farquhar with the bases all loaded up for the Red Sox to take on Sandy Leon. You look at his numbers, a 3.06 ERA. Sandy will bat lefty. And he'll take inside ball 1.
In a case where Leon here really has to think about lifting the ball, getting the ball in the air somewhere. Stay away from the ground ball, stay away from the double play to end the inning.
Sandy has struck out twice. That's across for a strike. Barely on the corner.
Good pitch, good fastball down and away from Leon.
3-2 Tampa Bay. Top of the 7th. Bases loaded for Boston. And a tapper to third base. Longoria coming home with it. Got the out there. That's all they get. As Hanley Ramirez is forced at the plate for out number 2. Said he did not hit it hard.
Heads up play Longoria, because if he goes to second base, they're probably not going to get to it. Wasn't hit hard enough. Just comes home and gets the potential tying run. So it's going to be left up here to Dustin Pedroia.
Pedroia busting out with a base hit his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Last night snapping a 14-game hitting streak against Tampa Bay. He has them all filled up with 2 down. And the breaking ball snapped in there for strike 1. They're all filled up again. Fouled that one off his leg or off his foot on a chopper toward third base. And now Dustin is in the hole 0-2. So it's Brock Holt at third base. Jackie Bradley is second. Sandy Leon, the runner at first. Kind of a frustrating game to this point for the Red Sox. They've been held to 6 hits. Farquhar delivers. Swing on, he got a piece of it to hang in there. A foul at the plate.
Pedroia is able to get a hit here. Remember that foul ball. That was a nasty pitch down out of the strike zone. Change up. Somehow fouling it off.
0-2. 1-2 now on the leadoff man. A big moment here in the life of this winning streak, which has reached 9 in a row for the Sox. Line shot down the left field line, but he hooked it foul.
Now, the one thing he has not thrown him since the first pitch was the curveball. I believe he's thrown him 3 straight changeups, and that one pulled hard foul.
Red Sox with a man at every base. With 2 down, 1-2 on Pedroia, and he gets time here from Torres.
Now, most hitters will call time when they shake off and throw it on a different sequence of signs.
He's ready in the 1-2. Up top to even up the count. Bogarts would be next. And now Farquhar wants his catcher out. Second night in a row, a very tense battle here. Red Sox winning yesterday 2-1. Now trailing 3-2. 2-2. Ground ball to third base and along the line, but a foul ball. And just foul off the bat of Dustin Pedroia. The Red Sox are still alive. So they'll do it again on 2-2. At third, representing the tying run. High fly ball into left field, backing up. Dickerson still backing up, backing up, backing up. Kiss it goodbye. He hit it out. Pedroia with a grand slam. What an at bat.
Well, I'll tell you, that was something special. A long at bat by Dustin Pedroia. He starts him off with a curveball. That's the only curveball he saw in that at bat. Pitch by pitch, curveball. Then we start with 3 straight changeups that are fouled on. Back to a fastball that's pulled foul. Changeup. Change up again. I mean, Pedroia saw 5 changeups in that at bat from a right-handed pitcher. Picked on the last one for a home run. Wow.
6-3 Boston. Certainly one of the great at bats of this season.
Remember I told you earlier in that bat that foul ball that he hit?
Yes.
Remember that pitch because he could have been out easily on that one.
14 home runs for Pedroia, none bigger than that one. On a swing and a miss by Xander Bogaerts. Count is 1-2. Speedway proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience. For every Red Sox homer, Speedway donates to Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway near you and pick up your Speedy Rewards card and start earning points today. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Dustin Pedroia, however, with one of the huge hits of the season, the Red Sox lead it 6-3. to you by Old Dominion.
Dustin Pedroia, after fouling off a number of pitches, along at bat, gets a changeup that's down in the strike zone and takes it out of the ballpark for the 2-out grand slam home run.
Old Dominion helping the world keep promises. Watch David Ortiz. There's no net throw before. What a clutch hit by Dustin Pedroia. And the Red Sox are on top 6-3 on the grand slam in the 7th inning. So Rick Porcello pitching with a 3-run cushion. And facing Casale, the number 9 hitter. Be followed by Forsythe and then Kiermaier. Red Sox also have a very active bullpen. That one is hammered foul. Like baseball, a game sometimes not of inches but of centimeters. You talked about that foul ball where he kept alive, Jerry. It was amazing.
Yeah, it is, and we'll show it to you in a second. But so remember that pitch. And sometimes you get lucky, you know. But look at this pitch. I mean, he just barely taps it right there to stay alive, and that at bat. That was with 2 strikes.
And Pedroia with 4 RBIs on the 1 swing to put the Red Sox in front. And a 2-2. A little bit low. He did not get the call from Torres. 3-2 on the number 9 hitter who has singled and struck out. We are in the last half of the 7th. And the payoff pitch into left field, and that is going to drop down for a single. So Casale on for the 2nd time. John Farrell has Scott and Ziegler throwing side by side in the left field corner.
Yeah, and you got Porcello, who sat around for a long time at the end of last inning and has thrown now 110 pitches. So if this base runner, this batter reaches, it will probably be the night for Porcello.
That's Logan Forsythe, who has struck out twice and flied out to left. He pounds in strike 1. We told you earlier Toronto did win. They beat the Yankees 3-0, so the Red Sox have to win to stay 5.5 in front in the AL East. The 0-1 foul back. Now, Porcello has not been at his sharpest tonight. He's still been good. And has a chance to win for the 22nd time. He only had 1 inning in which he has allowed runs. That was the 3rd. 0-2. Fouled away again.
Well, you think back too of earlier in the ball game, some of the defensive plays the Red Sox made. Pedroia for 1 with the infield back, throwing somebody out at home plate, followed by a nice play at third base by Brock Holt. 2 defensive plays that really saved runs right there for the Red Sox.
Red Sox, one of the top 3 or 4 defensive clubs in the American League.
Here's the defense we were talking about, and we see the 3s at third base by the base runner. That's going to make all the difference in the world at home plate as Pedroia throws him out. Nice play by Leone to come back across. And then Brock Holt gets the ground ball down that third base line, back to his feet in a hurry, and grabs you out at first base. Saved the Red Sox a few runs.
1-2 on the way. Kiermaier on deck. Red Sox in front 6-3. And the hottest team in the big league staying hot on some great at bat by Dustin Pedroia. The 2-2 from Porcello. A wave and a miss, and down he goes. He strikes him out for the 3rd time. And here comes John Farrell. So he's going to go to the bullpen right now with Kiermaier coming up. And that'll do it for Rick Porcello. He pitches into the 7th inning. And he departs with a 6-3 lead. It's going to be Robbie Scott coming on in relief, and a big hand by the many Red Sox fans in attendance here in St. Petersburg for Rick Porcello. Red Sox leading with 1 down to the bottom of the 7th inning, 6-3, and here comes Robbie Scott, the left-hander, who is pitching in bigger and bigger situations in recent days.
Yeah, definitely a matchup guy, a guy you want to throw out there against left-handed hitters. Get that drop down to the side, fastball and breaking ball.
Made his big league debut on the 2nd of September at Oakland, and John Farrell has really taken a shine to him and showing a lot of confidence in him. He deals a strike on Kiermaier, who's gone 1 for 3. Scott came on with 1 on and 2 out in the 8th inning last night to face Kiermaier, and he got an inning-ending ground out, got his first hold of the year. Facing him again here. Line drive instead into left field. That'll dunk down for a base hit. Young cuts it near the line, and Casale is safely into second base. So that's their second hit in the inning. And John Farrell is heading to the mound again. Tomorrow at noon, don't miss Red Sox first pitch, presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. TC and Steve Lyons will have an update on the American League playoff races. So Kiermaier wins this battle, and Ziegler is coming on to face Longoria. Red Sox in need of a ground ball with runners at first and second. 1 down, and we'll be back. Well, the ground ball special is Ziegler coming on with runners at first and second. Longoria, the batter, he stings this one to center, but Jackie Bradley is back to make the grab. Tagging up is Casale, and he will move from second to third, but that is out number 2.
And Farrell back out of the dugout. Left-handed do up next. He's going to go to Robbie Ross, it looks like.
So Ziegler facing Longoria gets him. And that's all. He throws one pitch. So it'll be Robbie Ross coming on to take on Miller. We'll take the break as well and return in just a moment. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And back at the Trop, Red Sox ahead 6-3. Runners on the corners, and Ross coming on. Robbie facing 3 batters in the 7th inning last night and retired the first 2 before allowing a double. Trying to get one out here and end the inning facing Brad Miller, who's gone 1 for 2 with a 2-run double. That was back in the 3rd inning against Porcello. So it's Casale at third base, Kiermaier at first base, and Barnes now working in the pen. So it's up to Ross here against the guy having a good year with 30 homers and 80 RBIs. But 2 down. Tried to hold up, but he swung and missed. Home plate umpire Torres had it, and that is strike 1. Sox rallying here tonight on the Pedroia Grand Slam. Here's the 0-1. Shot to right field. Betts is back with room, and he's got it. And that will retire the side. Porcello loving the effort. The Red Sox on top at the end of 7, 6-3. with nothing to hide. That's transparency. BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. And buy the 2017 Kia Sportage. Visit anykiadealers.com to learn more. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, and Garrett Austin with you as we go to the 8th inning. Rick Porcello still out there on that bench. A 6-3 Red Sox lead after a dramatic shot, a grand slam by Dustin Pedroia. And a marvelous at bat. Here's David Ortiz up against Eddie Gamboa, the right-hander. He's a knuckleballer. And at 31 years and 256 days, the second oldest player to make his major league debut with the Rays, behind the then 35-year-old Jim Morris in 1999.
Yeah, he transferred to be a knuckleball pitcher back in 2013.
And in for a strike at Big Papi. David 0 for 3 tonight. He has lined out twice and also grounded to first.
First 2 pitches were fastballs. There's the knuckler on the 2-0 count. Almost like a surprise to a Chiefs.
It was like, didn't see that coming. 2-1. On deck, Mookie Betts and then Hanley Ramirez. And it's Koji loosening in the bullpen. He is back and available, so is Craig Kimbrell tonight. 3-2. Red Sox ahead by 3 as we start to get late. And a pop-up down the left field line. Long run, Longoria. He's there. Oh, did not make the play, and that dropped in fair. And Ortiz is going to be safe. Longoria looked like he got there in time, but did not make the play.
You know, we've seen a lot of that in this road trip so far, where guys have been in the shift and have had to run a long way to make a play. Now, Longoria looking up like he lost the baseball. And the ball lands in fair territory. There's all the junk.
Junk it is. Kind of season that David Ortiz is having. That falls in for a hit. Mookie Betts now, the base hit, a walk, and a pop-up. Mookie has scored 2 of the 6 Red Sox runs tonight. And 119 runs on the season. He lays off, and it's downstairs to make it 2-0. David hit one a country mile last night. It struck a catwalk. Then gets a single on that pop-up. That one foul tipped to the mitt. Way out there. We think a lot closer to 500 feet than 400 feet. To the shortstop, Ramirez. That's 1. That's 2. So Mookie doubled up and 2 down in the 8th inning for the Red Sox. Tonight, after Red Sox coverage on NESN Sports Today, we break down the Pats defense, plus a report from Bruins training camp. NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. Another big hand for David. And the base is empty for Hanley Ramirez. Another multi-hit game for Hanley. He's 2 for 3. And a 1-0 pitch. And a squibber. Forsythe has that, and that'll do it for the Red Sox. We go to the last half of the 8th. 6-3 Boston.
Fans, after the game, you can participate in the race, center field shuffle, and eggs.
Xfinity, Porcello went 6 1/3, scattering 8 hits, 3 earned. He can win it. Dustin Pedroia with the play of the game, of course, his grand slam. Andrews went 6. Miller 1 for 3 with a double and 2 RBIs for Tampa Bay. Red Sox will turn the baseball over to Koji Uehara. Recorded his 15th hold of the year on Thursday night at Baltimore and has been pitching great baseball. In fact, he's held lefty batters hitless in their last 23 at bats. And he gets one right away here in Corey Dickerson to begin the bottom of the 8th. Red Sox ahead by 3. And a cut and a miss for strike 1.
Starts him off with a split-fingered fastball. A little bit flat that time, but still no contact.
Dickerson with a pair of hits. He's gone 2 for 3. Bogaerts is all by himself on the left side of the diamond with the shift on. 1-1.
And Bogaerts in on the grass too, or the artificial surface, I should say, just in case of a push bunt down in that direction. 2 strikes, he'll move back.
Red Sox bullpen has been absolutely brilliant in the month of September, with an ERA well below 1. Coming into this appearance by the bullpen tonight, 0.77 bullpen ERA in September, lowest in the majors. And Koji trying to retire the first man in the 8th inning. Golfed into right, down into the corner. Betts scoops it up. Maybe a play at second base. Here's the throw, and it's cut off, and he dumps off a double. 3rd hit of the night for Dickerson.
Has had a good night. A single in the 2nd, a single to drive in a run in the 3rd, and now the leadoff double on a splitter here in the 8th. Splitter was supposed to be down and away. It stayed down and in, and that gave Dickerson the opportunity to make the contact. And at first I thought this might be close at second base, but Dickerson picked it up a little bit.
36 doubles. He's had a very solid year in terms of power. His extra base hits. This was 23 homers. Now the guy who may be the toughest out in the lineup for the Red Sox, Nick Franklin, who's gone 2 for 3 with a double and a single tonight. Tampa Bay now 10 hits. Sox have 8. Popped him up, twisting foul, 3rd base side. Holt over to give it a look, but it's off into the stands. Part of the attendance of 25,641. It's a very good crowd here.
Yeah, very good, Dave. You know, we came down here expecting maybe, what, 10, 12,000 per game, and 26 show up tonight. That means a long line for the cab after the game.
Yes. You have to have your priorities firmly in line. Here's the 0-1 to Franklin. That skips away. Runner trying to advance. Is the throw to 3rd and a tag, and he is out. Quick recovery by Leon to get him at 3rd base.
Just a mental mistake right here. You know, you're down by 3 runs, and if there's any doubt, you just can't take the chance. I mean, it's good for the Red Sox. You get a nice gift out at 3rd base for the first out of the inning.
Really got to make sure there, don't you?
Oh, you're down by 3 runs. You got to be standing up at 3rd base.
So big first out, base is empty. You give Leon credit too to recover that fast and make an accurate throw. But Dickerson with a lapse in judgment. Red Sox ahead 6-3, 8th inning. Bidding for a 10th straight victory. And really, the Red Sox have done it every which way. Often coming back, and they did that again tonight to take the lead. Now it's all about holding it and putting the win away tonight, courtesy of the bullpen. Here's the 1-2. Popped off third base, but there is no third baseman there in the shift and no play to make. Red Sox season ticket holders, you can experience the best seats, price, and benefits Fenway has to offer. For information on becoming a season ticket holder, please visit redsox.com/season tickets or call 877-RED SOX 9. And a 1-2 to Franklin. He wouldn't chase it. Red Sox also trying to go to 6-0 on the road trip. And that fastball will miss. So now he has filled up the count on Franklin, 3-2. Toronto beat the Yankees 3-0. Here's the payoff. Fly right field. There's Betts and Mookie with the one-handed catch. So there are 2 down. Sox in the 9th inning will have due-up Holt, Young, and Bradley. Mikey Montook here. He has gone 0 for 3. Now you look back at the big inning for the Red Sox, culminating in a grand slam by Pedroia, that 7th inning. He started the inning with back-to-back singles by Ramirez and Holt. Jackie Bradley would eventually take a ball 4. Leon hit into the fielder's choice with a runner cut down at the plate. And then Pedroia had one of the really great at bats all season long by a member of the Red Sox. Ripped down the line, but he hooked it foul.
One more look at the grand slam by Pedroia after fouling off a number of pitches. He gets another changeup. He saw 5 changeups in that at bat.
One he barely nicked to hang in there and keep that at bat alive. Pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, it's amazing how things work out. I mean, you foul off tough pitch after tough pitch, and there was one really tough one that he just barely fouled off and ends up with a grand slam home run.
2-1. Now 3 balls and a strike on Mato. This has been some amazing run by the Red Sox here in September against division opponents. 3 balls, 2 strikes. I mean, crucial series. And to win games with great pitching and bullpen, big hits, come from behind wins. So it takes for a winning streak of this length. And so many contributors for John Farrell. And that's in there. Caught the corner. Strike 3. Faces only 3 batters in the end. Doctors and scientists are working together on therapies of the future today. From developing new treatments to delivering leading compassionate care. Learn more at bidmc.org/cancer center. Red Sox head 6-3 as we go to the 9th inning, looking for 10 straight wins. And Brock Cole leading things off. Been a big contributor tonight. RBI double and a single, and he scored a run. He was aboard when Pedroia ripped the grand slam. Kelly along with Kimbrel now working in the bullpen.
Have it stay 6-3. You'll see Kimbrel. If it goes above that, you'll probably see Kelly.
You'll see Chris Young. He's on deck. And Jackie Bradley Jr. Brock Holt really playing his best baseball of the year during this stretch for the Sox. Made an outstanding defensive play at third base tonight, as Jerry mentioned earlier.
Yeah, those two plays by Pedroia and Holt should not be forgotten. They were early in the ball game, but they were big.
2-2. Shot to center field. Kiermaier right there, though. And Brock Holt is 2 for 4. And Chris Young will be next. Tomorrow afternoon, 1:10, the finale of the series. The last the Red Sox will see of the Tampa Bay Rays this season. It'll be Rodriguez against Odorizzi. Eduardo coming off a really fine effort against Baltimore. It'll also be the last game here ever for David Ortiz. So we do hope you will join us at 1:10. And then Monday will be a day off. Red Sox will enjoy that in New York before opening the series with the Yankees. The Red Sox win this ball game. If they hang on and win it, they will have a 5.5 game lead in the division with 7 left. A mile-high pop-up near the dugout of the Rays. The catcher over, but it's on top of the roof. A ball and 2 strikes on Young. Red Sox have been in sole possession of first place since the end of play on September 7th. Chris looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 3 tonight. 2-2. And a knuckleballer with a 2-2 home. And swung on and missed. Down he goes. Tagged by Casali, and that is strike 3. So 2 away with the bases empty here in the 9th inning. Jackie Bradley making his way to the plate.
Again, Boa not strictly the knuckleball. I mean, majority of pitches off knuckleball, but he'll also mix in that fastball. That time it was the knuckler to get Young.
Red Sox knuckleballer Stephen Wright trying to make his way back. That is looking less and less likely. And maybe getting very close to shutdown time on all of that with Stephen, who made a tremendous contribution, of course, to the Red Sox success this year before injuring that shoulder. Jackie with a fly to left, a strikeout. He's also walked and scored a run. Sandy Leon on deck. High pop up to right, racing on Forsythe. Mott took coming on, and the second baseman wants it. And that will do it. So Kimbrel will be coming on as we go to the last half of the 9th inning. Red Sox trying to win their 10th consecutive game. Bottom of the ninth inning coming up. Red Sox are 3 outs away from a 10th consecutive victory. Now leading Tampa Bay 6-3. Pedroia with the grand slam. And one of the great moments of the season. Kimbrel now trying to pin down what would be his 30th save. And if he can do it, that'll be 6 consecutive seasons of 30 saves for the flame-throwing right-hander. And he'll get 8, 9, and 1 in the batting order for Tampa Bay. 6 runs, just 8 hits for the Red Sox. Tampa Bay, 3 runs on 10 hits. Rick Porcello stands to win it, and a victory for Rick would make him 22-4. Pop foul back out of play by Alexei Ramirez, who's gone hitless tonight, 0 for 3. Red Sox win would put Boston at 91-64. And maintain that 5.5 game lead over Toronto. They beat the Yankees on a late home run by Bautista. They won the game 3-0. Close, but no strike.
Yeah, and drops that slider right on the outside part of the plate, but not getting the call. Well, the curveball, I should say, not a slider.
Kimbrel with the 1-1. That's a shot to left field, but there's Young to put it away. 1 out in the 9th inning. Now, last night Kimbrel was unavailable, and so was Koji. And Pomerantz went 5 innings. Red Sox still won the ball game 2-1 after an outstanding bullpen performance.
And they're getting that again tonight.
Bullpen becoming a major story for the Red Sox success here in September. Here's Curt Casale. He's gone 2 for 3 with a pair of singles. First one at 98, he comes up empty. Rick Porcello went 6 1/3, gave up 3 runs and 7 hits. And tomorrow, Eduardo Rodriguez in the finale. The 1-1 pitch to the catcher, in for a strike as he snaps in the breaking ball. Robbie Scott, Brad Ziegler, Robbie Ross, Koji Uehara have also worked in this one. That one skips up there to even up the count. Crowd of over 25,000 here tonight. Forsythe on deck. They've thinned out a little bit, so Jerry's going to get his cab. Here comes the 2-2. And he just blows him away at 98 to fan him, and they're 2 down.
Yeah, rising fastball that time from Kimbrel, and really no chance at all for Casale on this. That ball's about shoulder high, and that velocity, that's about impossible to make contact on.
Talking to Craig a bit yesterday about his comeback from the knee surgery and how fast he came back from that arthroscopic procedure. Came back several weeks quicker than was anticipated. He said it feels great. Fly ball well hit to right field. Betts backing up on the track to the wall, leaping up, can't get it, and that ball is out of here. Forsythe cranking that one for his 20th of the season. That closes the gap now to 6-4. Pretty good power out of that leadoff spot.
Now, we talked about him earlier in the game. He's had a tough night up to light home run tonight, but very solid player for the Rays with some good numbers. Kimbrel providing a lot of the power too at that fastball as it gets up over that fence. Number 20 on the season for Forsythe.
And makes it 6-4 with Kiermaier stepping in. He's got 2 for 4 tonight with a pair of singles. It's the first home run that Kimbrel has allowed since July 5th. And a 1-0. A strike. That was Tampa Bay's first home run of the ball game. The Red Sox also have one, but that was Dustin Pedroia with a grand slam in the 7th to turn this game completely around. Another strike. Now he's in front 1-2. Bases empty, 2 down here in the bottom of the 9th inning. All these Sox fans looking to celebrate. One-two to Kiermaier. Makes him move his feet. Red Sox are 1 strike away from 10 consecutive victories. The 2-2 foul back. Ortiz with 1 more game left in this building. Kimbrel with another 2-2 on the way. The count fills up. Longoria is on deck. Forsythe with a solo shot to make it a 6-4 game. And the 3-2 to Kiermaier. Spoils that one back out of play. 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, pretty good pitch right on the outside part of the plate. Good velocity, but good job by Kiermaier to see another pitch.
You do not want to see Longoria coming up representing the tying run. 36 homers. He's on deck. Kimbrel trying to end it right here. Just a piece of it.
Well, Kiermaier is putting up a good at bat against Kimbrel. A high fastball that he does foul off that time. Location of this pitch up in the zone. If he takes it, it's probably strike 3, but he's able to foul it off.
The 3-2 again to Kiermaier. Again foul back. You're right, a heck of an at bat here. Next pitch will be the 10th of this at bat. Tampa Bay is always hard to put away. One more strike for Craig Kimbrel. And here it comes. And he gets him. Got him with a breaking ball. He strikes him out with a hook, and the Red Sox have made it 10 for 10. And lead the American League East by 5.5 with 7 to play. Dustin Pedroia with the big blow. The grand slam that turned this game completely around, and the Red Sox win at TC by a final score of 6-4. And the fellas can dance again in center field.